We all got one come and go. Third eye open, never close. I put that on my fucking soul. Rolling away, oh no, no, no. Said I no, 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 no. Said I no, 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 no. Said I no, 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 no. Until you die, you gotta realize if you don't try, you'll never know, no, no, no. You'll never know, no, no, no. You'll never know, no, no, no. Shee! Alright, let's lock in, let's lock in, let's lock in. Alright, trade review, you know the vibes. Okay, let's get in this. Alright, New York PM, bro. I swear this is my favorite session. I swear. I've been taking I don't know how many trades on New York PM, and they've been hitting like crazy. So this is the trade that we took on TradeZilla. I risked 300. I made 300. It's a little bit less than I normally would like to risk. I want to risk 400, but close enough. So on TradingView, this is what it looks like with ES, because I took this one on the NAS 15 contract. So NAS is just more leverage. Alright, so hourly time frame. This was on the 9th. This was a little bit. No, I did take it at the right time. Okay, so we had Asia highs and we SMT'd those Asia highs at about 5 o'clock European time, 11 New York time, and then after that SMT happened. This was actually hella early, bro. What the hell? Yeah. So this is actually a session trade. This wasn't a New York PM trade. I'm tweaking because I think I put it on as New York PM in here in my strategy. Nah, okay, it is a session. Okay, yeah. So session trades I take anywhere from 2 p.m. till I guess 6 kinda. So anytime when there's a session SMT, I'm looking for a 1 minute soup and a short. I thought this was New York time because it was later in the day, but it's pretty rare that you get like a session SMT like between like open macro and then New York PM, but whatever. Yeah, so 5 o'clock, we had the SMT essentially, and then we had a soup as well. So that gives me my confirmation for my reversal. And then we go to the hourly to see where is the H1 equilibrium. So so high, then a low on ES, and then this is the low, and then that's the high on the H1. So the equilibrium is pretty far away. So that's good for our risk to reward. That means we can hit a 1-to-1, and equilibrium is pretty far away, and that'll be our main target. I'm pretty sure with this setup, I like to have an opposite session at target. I'm not sure if I did because this is the previous day. This was this is London low. So I get, but did that get swept? Yeah, it did get swept. It like just got no, it didn't even get swept. I think that was equal lows. So I guess we had London low on S&P, which is man. I would like to ideally. I would like the London low on like ES and on NQ, but we swept that out during open on NQ. So I would like that for. I mean, look, we still ran down to fill this equal lows. So I mean, it still had conviction in this move down, but on top of the H1 equilibrium, I do like to have a session as well to target that just in like, because obviously I don't trade with the order like the higher time frames. I'm just short time frame looking for shorts, and kind of my high time frame that I use is obviously opposite session liquidity, and then my H1 equilibrium to have a reason why we're going to reverse, like where are we going towards, and then my confirmation for we losing momentum at the top where we're reversing is obviously this 1 minute soup. And I don't even know if this shit is a soup, bro. It's just that I just call it soup because I watched Justin Werline and he calls a soup when there's like a sweep on a low time frame and a sweep on a high time frame. So I just call it soup. It's whatever. High time frame SMT, low time frame SMT, which is the soup, and then whichever break structure first is where we enter. So that means that's the strongest slash weakest pair. So obviously we're shorting, so we're looking for the weakest pair. So we had the break first on Nasdaq. We didn't quite break it on ES. ES was looking way stronger, even though ES was the pair that went and rinsed all this liquidity down here, and NQ actually didn't do that. NQ was actually looking stronger if I play it on like an hour or two. then you'll see. I just put in the replay mode so it's easy to see. So NQ was still holding pretty heavily over here, and you can see ES has already dropped and actually hit this H1 equilibrium, where NQ was actually holding up. So yeah, only targeting these 1-to-1s, increasing my win rate, lowering my win reward, just to like helped me quite a bit recently because I've been in a bit of a win streak this week. So yeah, it's essentially the trade. Enter on the breaker structure on NQ. Obviously ES didn't break yet, but I don't really look for that similarity in this setup. If I'm trading continuations, then I do want ES and NQ to be on the same 1 hour and the 4 hour trend. They I want them to break structure relatively equally and confirmation, but that's a different strategy anyway. So yeah, broke structure, and then I put my stop loss at the most recent high of the soup, so not this one but the recent one. And if it was on ES, I would put my stops above the highest one here, so most recent high in the soup. So yeah, and then 1-to-1 pretty much, yeah, and then that pretty much we had this massive spike at like 5+5, and then made the money, and then yeah, put it into TradeZilla, and then yeah, you can see I put the Asia swept. We had a breaker structure for our entry, and then the macro was post New York, and then yeah, one pair we had wait, no, that's wrong. We had both pairs had the equilibrium still to get hit or untapped, and then one pair had a session to target. So I guess it's not the greatest trade. I don't know what I put it here. Yeah, I guess a 4 because we didn't have both sessions. Session isn't important for me if I'm trading New York PM, but actually I need to test it out a bit more to see like during that post macro how important a session is, or if I just need H1 equilibrium. But I normally always take H1 equilibrium unless there's like crazy conviction to that we push past that, which we actually had later in the week. I think on the Friday. So I'll show you guys how that went down. I'm not sure if I know we had, was it this trading day or was it the following one? We had like equal highs. I think it was this one. Yeah. So it was this day where I could have actually taken a long because we had, it wasn't the cleanest. I'll just go through it so you guys can like get an idea of the previous day SMT that I do. So this was the previous day low. And we made an SMT on it. And like I was saying, where I like to see similarity between these two pairs, we didn't actually get it, but maybe I shouldn't be taking that as much into account when we have such a strong draw. So the same way we had that equal lows with London over here on ES, we had the same thing. Let me just check my OBS, like my camera's a bit big. So we had over here on NQ, we had a really, or was it? No, it was ES. So ES, we had Asia highs like that, and then we had London highs really close to each other. So that's obviously like relative equal session highs, which is a stupid strong draw. So like price really wants to go there. And we had a SMT of the previous day. So that's like a really bullish SMT to reverse and a really bullish target for price to seek out. And when this happens, like it's kind of like enter as soon as possible, because market open instantly SMT the previous day low, and we had on ES, and the reason I didn't take this because it looks so choppy on NQ that I was like, nah, like I do 1-to-1 risk to rewards, right? So I'm not really trying to take risky trades if my R is so low. But looking back at it, I actually could have jumped in, because the way I would do it is during New York macro, it's a bit like finicky my rules. It's a bit technical, but if I have a previous day session during like the macro, either I can do a 1-minute soup or a 5-minute break and retest. So here we have a high and then a low, and we broke that on the candle, the 30-minute close. We broke that, and then we had so this would be higher than a low, and if I go to the 1 minute, and you can see zoomed in, we more like this. So we pushed up, and then we came down, retested this equilibrium on the 5-minute, and then pushed up and closed over here. So that kind of, we respected the breaker structure and we respected equilibrium. So that means I could have entered on this close and stops below the retest of this equilibrium and break a structure and target a 1-to-1, and boom, that would have been the trade because um as you guys maybe should or shouldn't know, this is like my previous day SMT. I don't know if I have the rules in. I don't, but just I know I've got examples. I actually wrote it down here. So normally the previous day SMT, I would take that anytime from London session straight into New York PM. Like session previous day SMTs is such a high conviction trade, and we've got such a high conviction liquidity to target. It kind of like throws the entry out the window. Like entry isn't that important because you kind of want to get in as soon as possible, because price normally just rips straight to the liquidity that it's seeking, which is obviously this relative equal highs, and perfectly touches it and then comes down and then pushes up again. So I could have taken this trade in the morning. I reviewed it and I realized, like, okay, if this happens again, I don't like taking trades between 9:30 to 9:40, 9:45. The first 10 minutes of open is super volatile. And looking at NQ, you can see this insane chop where ES was a way straighter line up. So because both pairs weren't synchronized in the push up, I was hesitant. And because it happened before like 9:45, 9:40, I was also quite hesitant. But looking back now, I can have more conviction in this because the draw was so strong and the SMT was so strong that you can kind of be more discretionary with my rules and ignore the time that the entry appeared and ignore the synchronicity between the two pairs. So if this happens again, I'll ignore those two things essentially. And yeah, that pretty much wraps up the Thursday of last week, I think. Bro, where the hell am I? Yeah, Thursday last week was this. What was this? Wait, bro, what day was this? Yeah, Tuesday this week. And yeah, back to TradeZilla. Got a 5-star because there wasn't an unswept SMT lows on both pairs. Yeah, so I kind of like that, at least until we get to 7 o'clock for the New York PM setup. I kind of like same way, like if you look at the setup on this, like there needs to be a reason for price to reverse in terms of where it wants to go, and a reason for price to reverse in terms of like a manipulation or a I guess just like a reversal signal. Like that's basically what my strategy revolves around. Is it's two parts. It is, what are we sweeping? How much liquidity like does this sweep contain? And then once we've swept it, what are we drawing to? So for example, for my New York AM, if we're sweeping a previous day, that's quite a lot of liquidity. Like look at the liquidity that's built up here compared to like an hourly. Like for example, this is not a lot of liquidity. Even though it's still reversed, it doesn't have many orders here. But a previous day is like a stronger level. Data high is a strong level, or data low. Sessions are strong levels. If we see SMTs at those levels, that's a pretty good reason for price to reverse. And then it's like, okay, where are we reversing to? So I also need something on the other side to give me a reason why we're reversing from this SMT. So essentially, if you've got a really strong target like these equal highs, obviously I'm only doing 1-to-1s, right? And for this trade, another thing I actually just forgot to mention of why I didn't take this was because with all my trades, I only enter if we have not hit H1 equilibrium yet. And obviously with this trade, we did hit H1 equilibrium. Let's see. So here we hit it before we actually, this is the confirmation candle. So during the confirmation candle, we hit this 50% level of the hourly range for both pairs. So that's another reason to add on why I didn't take this, because with my setup, I just want to capture the quick reversal. I don't even if there is a draw, for price to target towards. I don't expect it to go all the way there, but I expect it to be a reason to, almost like a magnet, to kind of try to pull the price back up. It might not get and reach that magnet, but at least there's something that's pulling it away from the SMT. And now, if we have equal session highs or relatively equal session highs, at least on one pair, I know that the H1 equilibrium isn't a strong enough resistance level where price can just break through it and go to the relative session highs. So like, I'm rambling on here, but that's kind of the things that I've learned from trading this setup that I've made for myself over the past year, on things that if this happens, do this, and you just get more of that. And over time, that's why I have this notion, and I write it like, I find a rule and I put it in here. So for example, like I said now, if previous day SMT and drawn liquidity is a relative equal session high, I said liquidity there, then disregard both pairs break a structure. So it doesn't need to break structure at the same time, which is my rule for the H4 continuation. And that's a completely different topic. So I've got 4 strategies and they all have small different things that you need to take into account. So breaker structure doesn't need to happen at the same time, and there was actually 4 p.m. news, and I really don't like trading 4 p.m. news as well, because if I enter on 4 p.m. the volatility is quite crazy. And then disregard entry before, like I don't like trading within the first 10 minutes of open, and I can even add here disregard. I can probably make it a bit cleaner and kind of, if previous day SMT and draw liquidity is strong, let's say that. i.e. relative equal session liquidity, and then we just remove this to make it cleaner. Boom. Both pairs don't need to BOS at the same time. Okay, and then the next one is, I mean, this isn't really that important, but I don't like trading like the first 5 minutes before, after, or the first 5 minutes before 4 p.m. news, because you need a higher stop loss, because normally, even if it's like jolts or unemployment, like I don't mind trading news on those days, but when that news hits, there's normally a spike. I'm not too, like, I guess, yeah, disregard 4, oh, what the hell, disregard 4 p.m. news, sure, disregard entry before, okay, can enter within the first 10 minutes of market open. Like, even can enter even the first 50 minutes before market open as well. I don't like doing that either, but I'm just gonna keep it like that. And then the last one is disregard H1 equilibrium. So that's like kind of the things to note when previous day SMT strong draw. So yeah, that was quite a lot of information. Hopefully you guys can understand some of that. Like, obviously the more that I make these videos, and if you do watch, and if you want to learn like from the way I'm doing it, and if it suits your trading style, then this setup kind of speaks to you in that way, then yeah, feel free to use it. I would have liked to enter on NQ on this one as well. We just got the break, but it was so laggy. But yeah, I've got a few more trades that I ended up taking this week, and I'll review them as well. So I've just reviewed this one on the 9th, and then there's 3 more trades that I'm going to review. And then obviously I'm using the funding ticks account. This is currently how the dashboard looks. I guess what's that, 75% win, 25% loss. Obviously New York I only really trade. I would only trade London if there was a previous day SMT. Obviously NQ and ES, apparently I'm bearish. Let me go to the account. You can see a few of my stats. I need 1,000 more to pass this account. The 86% win rate. Yeah, whatever. Okay, yeah, that's pretty much how it looks. So yeah, I'll make another review video, and then I'll do the next trade and the next trade, whatever. And then yeah, if you guys are enjoying this, obviously I do have an affiliate link with funding ticks, because they do just give out one. So it's code common, and then I'll put it in the YouTube description. I'll always put it in the description. And then yeah, hopefully enjoy your weekend. Cool. Cheers.